All right, let's see what the market has in stock for us this week. Okay, let's start with the GBP pairs. Go to the daily on GU. Go to the daily on GU. All right, so GU is presently, sorry, I need to mute out. Just a minute, please. Need to mute out some mics. All right, so GU is, okay. So GU is at the previous peak formation high, basically here on a daily basis. So we expect some reaction, even if it's going to proceed further, because GU has another peak formation that it may want to come into right about here. And at the same time, if I zoom this, we can see a fair value gap between this bearish engulfer and the next candle to it. So let's delineate that with stop moving around. Let's have that marked up here. There is a fair value gap here. The price, squeeze this in. The price might be interested in coming into. We give that a different color. So in essence, we are still in a bullish terrain on GU based on the daily. On the weekly time frame on GU, we are still also in a bullish terrain. Is presently coming into this order block. I'll need to do this so that it won't be too dirty. We can remove that later on. And we have this level here as the threshold, the middle of that weekly order block, right? We have that white line, make it green. All right, so that is the middle of the weekly order block. And that coincides with, it coincides somewhere within the fair value gap. So I'm still bullish on GU. If we go down to H4 now, again, we'll find a source here. There's a H4 source here, and we have a break and price just traded back into the source. So we would expect to see some reaction of that level. Of course, we've seen some reaction already. This was a push into the source and it dropped. Second push dropped, third push dropped, and it went out to take out the liquidity. If we go down to 1 hour, you see what I'm talking about here. So there's a high point here, and there's a high point here that serves almost like an equal high, right? And price has traded into it, taking out that point. So I would love to see EU reject off after taking out that liquidity. Reject, if possible, to this low, so as to frustrate the guys who have their stops there. And after then, give us a bullish formation W for BTMM traders. to buy. Now, if we go to the H4 to look at this again, sorry, let me do this. Let's do this, make it thinner. Okay, now on the H4, we can clearly see this order block. We delineate that with a red, responsible for the push up, right? So I would want to see price trade into that order block, if possible, take out the liquidity there, and at the same time trading into this bullish order block here. This bullish order block is more healthier than this order block. So what I want to see is price trading down, taking out the lower part of this box order block. It could be a wick, it could just be by a wick, so as to respect our structure, right? Take it out and push up, right? But this one leg, let me do this. This one leg, take out and push, something like this, throw a wick and push up. If it does that, inside this one leg on the 1 hour, I'll be more comfortable to see it as a W. So I'll be more comfortable to see it come out as a W on the 1 hour or on the 15 minutes inside this leg, giving me a reason to go long with our first take profit aiming at the previous highs, right? So that will be my bias for GU for now, except it does something otherwise. But for now, GU is bullish. If I look at the dashboards I usually will use, this dashboard is telling me that GU, where is GU there? Yeah, so GU, 8 peak formation low. So we are still bullish on GU. And this other dashboard is also telling me, just a moment. Yeah, this other board here is telling me that I'm also bullish on GU. So if we sell out of GU, if we see if we see any formation for a sell, I will take it. For those of us who understand our BTMM 50 pips rule, I will take it to the downside, but cautiously. But the major direction for GU is bullish. For now, everything is bullish. If you don't know how to trade, counter trades, just wait for it to give you a proper entry and for you to go long. But it could also give us, if you know how to trade, counter trades, then you will want to see a push down. Basically, what we want to see is AMD. We want to see them give us that AMD, give us the accumulation, the manipulation to the downside, and then we will buy, right? So that's what we want to see. But I'm happy because if this theory works, the fact that they will have a high here and another high, that's equal high. Those of you that are ICT traders, they traded above it to take out that liquidity. I want to see them come down, give me a very good W. This may happen on Monday or Tuesday, but if it does that and it holds true, we'll be going long. And if you follow the daily analysis we gave, we might be having an opportunity to catch about a 286 pip move on GU off the daily time frame. But GU is still bullish as at now. In fact, if we quickly come here and look at our DXY, if you look at our DXY on based on the 4 hours, DXY has been bearish, heavily bearish. So in essence, what we're saying is that if we see this order block here on the DXY, we will be anticipating that price will do something like this, retest the order block, and then continue its move down. On this leg, on the 1 hour, we'll want to see it as an M. And on this leg, on the 15 minutes, we want to see it as an M, right? So those of you that trade M and Ws, that is the way it works. If you see, you want to see this as a W on the 1 hour, this particular one, and the 15 minutes, it looks something like that. All you need is a 4 candle formation, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. That will give you an M, or and then we'll go. So that's it for GU. Let's quickly look at the other GBP pairs quickly. Annotate, clear all. All right, back here. Let's look at GA. All right, GA on a weekly basis has traded into these lows. And if you remember, was it last week or so, I did analysis and we were saying that when GA trades into this low, there are lots of bullishness here, right? Lots of bullishness, lots of buyers here. We expect some reaction of this point. We can't say if that reaction has concluded. Off the weekly, it still looks bearish because price has to break this point for us to say we are bullish off the weekly. But of course, virtually everybody here is a retail trader and we don't have the funds to trade on the weekly time frame. But at least it just gives us an idea. Here we have a peak formation low on the daily. We have a peak formation low on the daily, and price hasn't broken the very first order block, the last order block on the daily. So again, for the daily, we have this order block to contend with for GA. And when it breaks this order block, then we can say structure has been broken. For now, it's still playing within structure. It's as good as going back to retest this order block and then dropping lower. So until that happens, we won't say we are bullish. However, AUD has been dicey for the whole of this year. In fact, since they had their interest rate decision, let's quickly look at that. Since they had their interest rate decision, AUD has gained some level of strength, and of course, the risk off and all of that. So many people moving funds to AUD. Prof is an expert on that. He happens not to be online for now. All right, so we have AUD there, Australian dollar. So since the March the 19th, when they had this interest rate review, AUD has been seriously bullish. So you check AUD chair or whatever from that particular date, sometime in March, here, that's March 19th, it's been bullish. Now, on some few occasions, it tried to wiggle itself out of that strength and failed miserably. So here we have a scenario where we had a breaker on the daily, but it melted thereafter and came even lower. So I will be anticipating a weakness in AUD, which will give rise for more upward push, but I'll be skeptical about it if the recent antecedent of AUD is anything to go by. And by that, we need to come here and look at our AUD index. When we look at our AUD index, here we see we have a source up there. We have a breaker here on the 4 hours. We have a breaker here on the 4 hours, right? So we could see that temporarily AUD melted. The currency index melted. What we have here is a pushback into this order block. A pushback into this order block. And if the theory stands true, we will anticipate some more push and then a lower low to take out this low. If that happens, then what we will be anticipating on GBP AUD, having formed a source here, and then gave us a breaker, so we have two scenarios that can play out basically here. We can have, because we have another order block, maybe I should just mark that out first. We have an order block here. Somebody's mic is on. So we have an order block. So what we might see, remember we said if AUD pushes up a little more, drop, if that happens, it means AUD is going to be strong temporarily. Then we would be anticipating a retest of this point and then a rise. Or it could come back to retest the breaker or a rise. And if you remember how we trade this, we said we usually prefer if the breaker and the source have some form of intersect, which in this case we don't have. So in this scenario, the safest trade will be that after price had come back to the source, we'll expect it, and it didn't come back to test the breaker. The safest trade will be when it comes back to test the order block, which is this, for a rise. So I'll be more favorably disposed to having it come here and then reject from that point. Once it breaks this line here, I am fully bullish on GA, and that may mean that AUD may melt because the next point that will hold AUD back is all the way here, right? That's the next point structure-wise that may hold AUD back, apart from this level, right? But that is still massive pips. Again, if we go back to our windows, we can see that GA, where are you? I saw you now. GA is presently bullish, right? Is bullish. We check the second window. We have GA here again. GA is bullish, right? Two peak formation low. So it's just starting a new trend. Two peak formation low is just starting a new trend. And that means if we can get an entry of GA, we might be in for a long ride. We might be in for a long ride if AUD disappoints, because it's been, remember what I mentioned earlier when we were looking at it on the daily, it's been massively strong for a while. So back to 1 hour, if we go to 1 hour, we can see the peak formation low, right? So on the 1 hour, this would have been the source. It broke it, came back to test the breaker on 1 hour. Here we have this bullish candle with the breaker on 1 hour, and then it rallied from there. So like again, we said what we expect is accumulation over the Asian period, manipulation, buy. So we'll be looking for a type 1 W during the London session to resume our buy tendencies on GA. So we are bullish on GA, short and long of the story. Let's look at G. We've looked at GU. Okay, G card. Of course, again on G card, we are bullish. Only thing here with G card is that we have a source here, and it's in the previous source. We might see a scenario where we see some form of reject. Of course, it happened here. So we had our source, we had our breaker, price came back to test the source and the breaker and dropped, went back again to test the source and the breaker, dropped, came back the third time. We might just see it piercing through. It's rejected twice. We might see it piercing through. To see it clearly, we might go to the daily time frame to see. Let's take all this out. Go to the daily time frame. What we can see that it has been making some bullish move. We have a W formation in the daily time frame. It has created the it has created a breaker on the daily time frame. We are presently in a buy regime, a buy program based on the daily time frame. It's rejecting off this level, right? If it breaks this level this week, we are all bullish on G card. I'll be anticipating price arriving at this zone sometime within the week, and that could be 400 and something pips, hopefully. So presently we are bullish on G card. I'll have this line on my screen waiting to see what price would do at that point. But based on order flow, we are bullish of G card. Let's see what we have here. So yes, G card, we are bullish. In fact, we've been bullish for a while, for 6 days. So by Monday, we'll have been bullish for about 8 big formation lows. And by this dashboard on G card, we are bullish too, right? So it's done. We are bullish too on G card. We'll be looking for opportunities to buy off G card. Now note that the general trend is bullish, but if you trade beat the market maker, you have to have at the back of your mind that in the beat the market maker model, on the 1 hour, you have your peak formation high, right? Level 1, level 2, level 3, peak formation low, right? At this level, which is our peak formation high, we can buy and we can sell. At this level, we are only allowed to sell. So we have a DNC trade for the buy at this level. So we don't consider buying. We don't consider buying back into the peak, right? So we just take a safety trade and move on. At this level, we can buy and we can sell. At this level, we can buy and we can sell, right? So we only have issues with buying and selling at this level. We don't want to buy back into the peak. We don't want to buy into the peak formation, because usually the move is going to be so vigorous because traders have been trapped up here. For those who trade the BTMM, I know we've not had time to do the BTMM seriously on Simply Pips, but one of our admins, Ninja, is doing something on BTMM. He dropped the link in Simply Pips. You could go watch, and I'll discuss with him to see how I can make that even more robust for everyone. So, but at least here we have, if you have this at the back of your mind, you understand why even when our general bias is bullish, sometimes we could get trade coming into the stop hunt box. Maybe I should just quickly state something here for us to all see. Now, I don't care what strategy you teach or you trade. You just need to understand it well enough to be able to read the market to some extent. Almost everything is mixed together. You know, some guys will tell you that price goes this way, right? They use Elliott wave. Some other people will look at this Elliott wave and tell you that they don't trade Elliott wave, they trade price patterns. So they will tell you that when you see price do something like this, this is a bullish flag for you to buy. What's the difference between this and this? This is something as low, high, higher low, lower low, higher high. Whether you call it bullish flag or whatever you want to call it, or channel, we are just discussing the same thing. If you use ICT guys, they will tell you that once you see a push, right, then you have an order block here. You wait for price to trade back into the order block and buy. This is the same thing as low, high, higher low, lower low. Somebody just spotted an order block, fair value gap, plenty grammar, turtle soup, jungle in the snake, everything. It's just the same thing. Just pick one. No one is. See, guys, people make money out of trend lines, right? If you trade trend lines, for you to be able to draw a trend line, you must first of all get 4 points, right? So you have 2 points, 2 points. At that point where you're getting a trend line, what you have just seen is your ABCD, right? You just had your low, your high, your higher low, and your higher high. You must have 4 points before you can draw a trend line, right? So if that guy is telling you that he's waiting for price to come here, and somebody is telling you, no, he's a retail trader, well, some retail traders make money. Just pick one, understand it, and stick to it. And let's move on. So on the G card, we're still bullish. I can see this point here, 7 as resistance. Price may break through it. If you understand what I just explained now, you can see your peak formation low on the daily, right? It has done one push up, taking out this level. It has come down to test this level. I'm anticipating a rise, right? So if it gives me that, won't hesitate to pull the trigger. We have GJ there. So GJ on the daily, I don't need to explain this, exactly the same thing with G card. You can see there, exactly the same thing with G card. You have a peak formation low on daily, push, come, right? Are we going to have a rise? If that is not clear enough, of course, we can see already on the daily, it has taken out this bearish candle. But if you know the way we mark out order blocks here, we consider the higher, the top wick. So if we consider that top wick together with the low, we would say on the daily, the price is still dancing within this daily order block, but we'll be anticipating a break and coming to the peak formation high here. So if we go down to H4, what we will see on the H4, now on the H4, we have a confusion here now. Because on the H4, we have a peak formation high, and we have this level here giving us a breaker. So on the H4, we have a breaker here on the H4, right? And we have our source up there. Again, we don't like this kind of source and breaker because no intersect whatsoever. So this becomes our breaker. So in this case, we might be seeing price push back all the way to the source for a drop, or might see price reject from this breaker for a drop, right? And of course, we can see some fair value gap all the way here to this order block right here. So for GBP card, I will wait for the pattern. However, if I go to H1, on GBP card, what I can see, let's take out all of these things, all these drawings. On H1 on GBP card, what I can see is a peak formation high. Those of you that trade BTMM, level 1 has been locked by the cross of those moving averages. So we have our peak formation high there, right? We have this. So what we are anticipating is a push up and it has pushed into the Mayo, and we'll be expecting a drop. That is one way you can look at it. If you look at it that way, you will still be in tandem with the breaker, because at this point we had the breaker. You see, we have a peak formation, we have a breaker for a drop. Let's see what our dashboard are telling us. So for those of you who see us using dashboard, you'll notice that we don't spend so much time. Maybe towards the end of last year, you notice that I keep constant record of my markups, but I don't need to do that again. We don't need to do that again in Simply Pips, because we have algorithms that do all this for us. So why should we spend our time doing this? The algorithm even sends trade ideas to us, tells us when LSB has happened, tells us when a shift has happened, tells us when price approaches an OTE or an order block, and tells us when price reaches quarter points, hesitation points, and the like. We just can take our trades off the mobile now, having known what's happening. So what I mean is that when you look at this chart, we can look at GPP card here. Where are you? GPP card here. So GPP card is bullish off the 4 hours, still bullish, even though based on order flow, it has created a breaker. Then on this dashboard, GPP card is also bullish, 6 PFL. So we would be waiting to see what GPP card gives us. Where we have different opinions, we can safely sit it out. There are many other pairs. But for me, based on the H4 and H1 analysis we just did here, we will see if GPP card will manipulate to the downside and buy, or manipulate to the upside and sell. And we are looking at this. Again, for clarity, we'll go to the daily. When we go to the daily, we discover that we are in a bullish regime off the daily, and price has enough room to come to cover here. In fact, price did not trade efficiently within this region, giving us some fair value for price to want to approach. So look at, okay, I'm talking about GJ, sorry. I've been analyzing GJ, not GCAD. So, oh my. Okay, I think somebody pointed that out, but I didn't really get what the person was saying. So let's look at GJ. We've been analyzing GJ all the while. Okay, back here. So GJ, where are you? Yeah, GJ is still bullish of this. And GJ now, this follows our order flow, because this particular EA works exactly with our order flow. GJ is bearish of the H4 order flow. GJ is bearish of the H4 order flow, and it's been bearish for like is that about 12 candles or so, right? So we could we'll be looking for sell side opportunity, having at the back of our mind that we'll have the opportunity for some longs. Again, if you trade PTMM, you go down to your H1, you clearly see your peak formation up there and price coming. So we're expecting two things. Is that price gives us a reset here. Price can actually give us a reset here, right? And continues bullish move. And when it does, we might miss this push, but we'll catch the second leg for the retest to buy. Or price can come give us a formation M and sell. We will wait. We wait until the stops are taken. We wait to see the pattern. Everything is about the pattern, the pattern, the pattern. Right. So GCAD now, obviously on H4, GCAD is still bullish. Just use exactly the same thing we did, and GCAD also has a source up here. Price just traded into the source 1, 2, 3, and we can expect that. So which other pair? GN. Okay, before then, let's look at we've looked at AUD, we've looked at DXY. Let's look at NZD. So NZD, similar with AUD, Prof gave us a hint that there was a gap on VIX, and usually when there's a gap in VIX, we expect AUD and NZD to react, and that's what we're seeing. We expect some bearishness of them. However, I will be monitoring the open interest. I'll be monitoring the open interest. Okay, here we have the open interest as at Friday 24. The preliminary result is that the change is negative. Let's quickly refresh this to be sure. The change is negative. So I want to see what happens on Monday. If the change is still negative on Monday, if the change rather becomes positive on Monday, that simply means AUD will continue to be weak, and we will be looking at buying GA, we'll be looking at selling AN, AC, AU. Of course, as it is now, those pairs are showing signs of weakness, and we have bearishness on AUD already. Here we have on the 4 hours, we have our source up there, we have our breaker here. We've had the retest of the breaker and we're selling. So if anything to go by based on our previous analysis of AUD, for which we're expecting a slight push up. So we want to see something, maybe a retest of this level, and or perhaps not even getting to it, and a drop. But we'll have to monitor open interest. At the same time, monitor our VIX to know the long-term direction. Usually we wouldn't do this because ICT BTM is simply a price action strategy. However, AUD recently has been defiling some things because of the coronavirus and the fact that people are moving funds to safe haven. So I monitor this too to ensure I see beforehand if anything is going to happen. You see some divergence in some of these things, and it tells you that okay, AUD is going to be weaken or is going to strengthen. Then you can take off your profits, wait for them to initiate. Remember, in this strategy, we always wait for them to initiate the first leg. We come back after they have done whatever they want to do. We come back to trade the third wave. We always come back to trade the third wave. We don't try to predict what price will do before it does it. But when they've started the move, like in this case, they are bearish. Of course, our dashboards also will tell us clearly that we are bearish on AUD. Where are you? So here we have AUD card is bearish. For all the AUDs are bearish here. All the AUDs are presently bearish, showing us that AUD is weak. We have bearishness on all our AUD. The order flow on 4 hours for all the AUD is bearish. So we'll be looking for manipulation to the upside for us to sell, except if something happens. So I'll be looking at selling everything AUD as the first currency there, and of course buying things like EA and GA. So we can jump quickly to CAD, CHF, but before then, let's quickly look at the news events that may happen this week, with special focus on the red folders and the brown folders. So wait for Forex Factory to populate, and let's see what will happen this week. If you have any pair you want us to look at, you can drop it in the chat box. Peak formation, I'll draw peak formation file on. What do you mean by peak formation file? I don't understand. You mean this flowery stuff? If you mean this flowery stuff, fine. I'll drop it in Simply Pips. You can always pick it up. So let's see what happens. What's happening? It seems to be rolling forever. We'll see what happens to the news. Or before then, let's continue with CAD. CAD JPY, CAD CHF did some very wonderful things last week. So here we are. We had a source somewhere here. We had a breaker. I won't take this doji as one, but if you do, well, price has dropped here. So we clearly have a breaker You could also use this as this doji. I want to check with one or two other brokers to be very, very sure what is happening. So we are bearish off CAD CHF. So if the theory remains the same, you expect price to test this order block here and then drop again, so that it won't look like we're trading the 4 hour in isolation. You might want to have a view of what the other time frames are saying, especially the higher time frames. Let's look at the daily. Of course, on the daily, we are clearly in a bearish regime. Structure has been broken. First structure was broken here. Second structure broken here. So we're in a bearish regime. We have a peak formation low here where liquidity is seated and price may be attacking that level. So we might have some move on the downside. I wanted to see the news before concluding. But on H1, again, on H1, we have our peak formation there. That's the M for the peak formation high. Then we had a EMA cross, peak formation locked, retest, drop lower. We're in a bearish regime. We'll go to our dashboard. What does it tell us about CAD CHF? CAD CHF is bearish of the order flow. And again, here, CAD CHF is bearish 3 peak formation highs. So it's been bearish for like 3 days. If you put Control Y here, so we'll have 1, 2, 3, and a 0. So it's been bearish for 3 days. If this is our peak formation high, so 1, 2, 3 days, and we are still bearish. Until it changes, we assume we are bearish. So for those of us who want to do swing trading, we'll be having a session sometime. It might not be free, but we'll have a session to show us how to swing trade such that once you pick your trade off a peak formation, you hold it until you get an alternate peak formation created as a result of a breaking structure, or we can use that ADR. So when price moves one full ADR in the opposite direction, you get out. When you do that, you discover that you are able to hold on to a trade for 5, 6, 7 ADRs, right? Imagine if we took this trade. Just look at this. Imagine if we took this trade here and we had, where are you? Say, let's assume we were in, let's assume we're in GBP USD. 8 peak formation low would have been there for a long time. Here, look at EU, this Euro JPY, 10 peak formation, 10 solid days of buying, Euro USD, 25 solid days of buying. We won't get out until we get an alternate peak formation. And that will be just losing 1 or 1.5 ADR. So imagine going 10 days ADR to the downside, then getting out after it has gone 1 or 1.5 ADR, and you're still closing after 7.5 ADR. That could be very powerful. Of course, it doesn't happen all of the time. There are times price will range like it does here, but we are aware of this. That's why we're traders. We are willing to take the risk. So if you have any other pair you want me to look at, let's see the news quickly before we. I wonder why this thing keeps rolling. It's been rolling like forever. Rolling like forever. Yes. Any comments here? Analysis on gold. I rarely trade gold. I rarely, let me see. I rarely trade gold. I wanted to see if Ninja was online. He trades gold a lot. But of course, why not? It's just to analyze. Why not? So here we are, gold. Gold, I will treat gold the same way I treat AUD. Gold had several reasons to drop, but it never did because people were moving money, right, to areas with less risk. You see, when the world is in trouble, when there is war, when there are crises like we have in the issue with Corona, people move money, right? Risks off. They move money from currencies that will usually flip-flop when there are policy issues and move them to relatively safer places, right? And one is gold. So like 2 months ago, I hinted that gold might be hitting $2,000 per ounce and it's at 1,906. It might just get to 2,000. Why should I take my money to why should I invest in the USD when I can actually invest in gold? Of course, before fiat money came, it was gold, and most central banks are claimed that they are backed by gold, right? So if the central banks are backed by gold, why not I move my funds to gold? So I see no reason why anybody who want to be selling gold right now. Um, some indicators might be telling you to sell them, but you'll be better off buying gold in the long run. Now, if you don't have a healthy account, there's no need trading gold. It gives you good money, but if it goes against you, it will wipe your account clean. Same thing with US30, same thing with XPS 500, same thing with NAS 100, same thing with GR30, same thing with all of those indices. You don't have good enough funds, let them be, trade the currencies that move smoothly, and you are good. Worst case scenario, go to volatility, VIX, volatility here on binary. If you need quick funds, at least they are not affected by policy flip-flops. So I'll treat AUD and gold the same way. Remember, we are bearish presently on AUD, but I said I'll be trading it cautiously because of its antecedents since March the 19th. Right. I think I've given a brief of most of. In fact, if you trade GBP, if you trade BTMM, you should be spending more time on GBP pairs, Euro AUD, Euro NZD, and I think we've done Euro AUD, for instance. Euro NZD and Euro AUD will be bullish because VIX is presently. Let's go back to VIX. Let's see what VIX is doing here. Right. So if VIX is looking bearish, then you expect us to be buying all of those. So we'll be buying Euro NZD, buying Euro AUD. You're in a bullish regime presently, right? We will be buying GBP AUD because AUD is weak. So we'll be buying all of those things. Of course, GN will also be buying because AUD and NZD are weak. So what you do at the beginning of the week is that you have a general bias of what you expect from your currencies. Okay, I expect generally if AUD is weak, and if you don't know how to do that, you can always go again to TradingView and pick out the currency indexes, the futures for the currencies. Look at them and let them tell you what has been done. For instance, now Euro, I think something's happened with my network. Everything seem to be hanging. Anyway, we're coming to the close. We can't hold this for too long. We might have a midweek review, maybe on Wednesday. We could have a midweek review so that I can give you an example of how we transition from Sunday night into the midweek. So you could have a bias on Sunday night, something happens and change everything by Wednesday. We change our bias based on H4. On the signal order flow, we change our bias based on H4. And that is why you notice that our dashboard here tells you what price does on H4. That's the order flow on H4, right? We change our bias based on H4. Let's quickly say, okay, here, so Euro has been bullish. Euro has been bullish. So I would expect that if Euro is bullish and AUD and NZD are bearish, what does that tell us? We should expect massive pips from Euro AUD and Euro NZD. We should expect massive pips from them, right? Euro has been bullish. If we go to the daily, let's go to the daily and see what Euro has been doing. It's been seriously bullish. So that way we'll match our weak currency against our strong currency. If you remember about 3 weeks ago, some people were hinting at selling AUD USD, and I was like, it's not ready yet because I've not seen the weakness. I've not seen the change in direction in VIX. I've not seen the drop on the open interest. I expect AUD to still be strong. And that was exactly what happened. It dropped for like a day or two and boom, took out people's stops. So Euro has been so strong. Something dramatic has to happen to change its trend. So, which is why people who make it a habit of trading against the trend lose money perpetually. When it takes about 10 million US dollars to 100 million US dollars, depending on the currency pair, depending on the market, depending on the session, to move price by 1 pip. So if price is buying massively, it means institutional sponsorship is towards the bullish side. Why should you want to go against them? Just assume that you continue to buy until you see a breaker. Assume that you continue to buy. It's as simple as that, right? So Euro is strong, NZD is weak, AUD is weak. As at now, anything can happen. Unfortunately, we can't seem to open Forex Factory. Would have been able to check the news events that may happen within the week, see if there are interest rate decisions that could be pivotal to all of these things. Would have used that to check. Unfortunately, we can't do that, and we'll have to wrap up this now. Yes, so the analysis on gold. Yeah, I mentioned that gold is still bullish for now. Does VIX respect our? Oh yes, it does. In fact, it respects RAF more than currencies because, in fact, we have guys trading in and dropping their results over the weekend. It respects IOF more than currencies because you don't have anything like news. It's a synthetic indices, right? Volatility is synthetic, so it doesn't have any news releases that causes, some unexpected move in the market like you have in currencies. So yeah, any other thing you want us to look at quickly? We'll see if we'll have time to on Wednesday to do a review. What the review will do is that it helps us to transit from what we've done today into what price did Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday. We will now be able to see what we can catch. Like last week, most of the trend reversal happened on Thursday. So you go to trades like AUD CAD, AUD CHEF, and all of the AUDs. The move started on Thursday. So if we do Control Y here and go back to 1 hour. Right, so this was Friday, this was Thursday. So the moves were confirmed on Thursday. So we basically had a breaker here for AUD CAD, right? So basically what we had in AUD CAD, for those of us who know how to trade the waves, what we had in AUD CAD here was basically price doing this, creating a higher high, then drop, then came back to retest it and drop further. So on Thursday, we had our entries for trend reversals for most of the AUD pairs. We might have something like that happening again this week, who knows? So that's why I love doing my midweek talks on Wednesday. We'll see if we could do that this Wednesday, hopefully. Again, as a wrap up, the fostering class will be starting on Saturday in about 5 or 6 days time. One of the things I promised them at the end of that class, I will show you how you can have access to this if you want to. It's a paid service. If you want, you can have access. If you don't want to, I can always provide whatever is here for free for those guys that are there and show you access on how to get here. Tells you your peak formation, tells you if it's a peak formation low, you should be buying. If it's a peak formation low, then you should be buying. So you should be buying all of this until it changes. You continue to buy. So imagine we got into CAD JPY when it gave us peak formation low 2. Imagine we did that. We would have been buying and buying until we see a change. So when you come to Simply Pips and sometimes you hear us say by Wednesday that we've closed for the week and we're just playing around, you see us chatting. Well, we have some tools to help us. I'll be revealing some of them during the fostering class. So thank you for coming online. Hope to have a wonderful trading week. We'll continue our discussion in the Telegram channel. Take care.